So in the last video, we did our basic controller setup with help of decorators, and we added this for each logic on the controllers so that these controllers will be attached to our app express app routes. Okay. Now let us move to the next step and I will show you few caveats. Okay. So if you see here, we are not using this book controller, right? We have a controllers array, right, that we are using to loop around. So we are not using this one. Okay, so let me comment this out. Okay, and what about this one? So we are not also using this one, right? And what about this line? We are not using this line also, right? So let me comment out this one. Okay, and let me comment out, okay, this constructor argument. Okay, and I can comment out this one also, right? So like this. Okay, now when I open Postman and if I try to send a request, see, this is failing, right? Okay, so this is the problem. So as soon as I commented out some code, okay, it start failing. Okay, so if I uncomment this one, okay, and uncomment this one, what will happen now? If you see, okay, it will start working, right? So what is happening here? If I add this injection statement, it is working. If I remove this injection statement, this is not working. And this is not the desired behavior, right? Because initially I established that I don't want to add or inject 50, 60 controllers, right? Because in real world app, there will be 50, 60, 100, 200 controllers, right? And I cannot inject each and every of them in this particular constructor, right? So even if I write this much of logic and if I still have to inject the controllers, then this fails the purpose, right? So let us look for a other solution how we can achieve this without doing this injection, right? So here I will again comment it out, okay, and I will comment it this one also. Okay, now if you see, it will fail. Okay, now what we will do, we have to write a functionality, okay, which will dynamically load the controllers for me. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So I will add a function and I will call it as load controllers. Okay, now this function, it will traverse all the controllers and it will dynamically load it for me. Okay, so now let us see how to write this function. So for this I'll go to core and I'll add a new folder. I will call it as utils, okay, or some utility functions I will keep here. And here I'll add new file and I'll say load controllers.ts. Okay, so I will come here, okay, and I will add a function export function, okay, and load controllers. Okay, great. And I will come to app.ts and I will import the new load controller function. Okay, then I will come here, okay, and I will say const directory equals to underscore underscore dir name, right? Now what is this? So this is the directory name in which our current file exists, right? So this load controller, where this exists in core/utils, right? So this dir name will give me that value. Okay, so let me do console.log and show you. Okay, so this will be dir. Okay, right? So if you see here, it is pointing to src core and util, right? Now what path I actually want? I want the src, that is the root path. Okay, because this is where all my controllers will sit, right? So for that, what I can do, I can say path dot join. Okay, join what? This dir name. Okay, and this dir name, this will join it with what? Dot dot slash and dot dot slash. So it will come two step up. Okay, and I will import, okay, path from path, right? Now if I do console log and I'll show you, see what this is printing. This is printing the src folder, right? So this is where we should start loading all our controllers or all the controllers that are in src folder that I should be able to load, right? So let me remove this one. Okay, and what I can do, I can create a walk function that will, okay, that will take this directory and walk through that directory. That means traverse to that directory and try to see if inside that directory, if we have a folder or another directory or a file. Okay, if it is a file, see if it is a controller, or if it's a directory, okay, recursively call this function. Okay, so let me show you that. So I'll say function walk, okay, and we'll take the directory. Okay, now what we have to do? We have to read this directory. So for that, I'll say import fs from fs, right? And this directory is of type string, right? That's what it is complaining. So inside this function, I will say fs dot read dir sync, okay, and I will give this directory, okay, and I will say with file type true, okay. So that means it will read with file type dot for each entry, okay. So this entry is the individual component of that directory, okay. So for src, okay, entry will be book core, okay, then app.ts index.ts, right? So what we have to do? We have to loop through this directory structure, right? So I'll say const full path equals to, okay, path dot join, okay, dir and entry dot name. Right now, what is this full path? See, now we are in src, then we saw book, okay. So now I have to get the full path, so it will be src slash book, or if it is a app.ts, right? So this full path will be src slash app.ts, right? Now what we have to check, if entry dot is directory, okay, if this is the case, what we can do, we can again work on this full path, right? That means this full path is, say for example, on this book. So now I'm on src function, okay, first entry is book, right? What is the full path of the book? src slash book. If this is a directory, which is in this case, what it will do, it will work on this directory again. That is a recursive call, right? Okay, if this is not the case, okay, so I'll say else if, okay, entry is file, okay, and very important, okay, now what I will do, I will create a regular expression, okay, that will detect if it is a dot controller extension or not, right? So this is the regular expression, okay. So it should be dot controller dot ts or js, right? That's why in the beginning I said that I'm going to follow a particular convention, right? And this is where the convention pays off, right? So this is my regular expression pattern, right? So I'll say controller regex dot test, okay, entry dot name, right? So say for example, now it came to book, okay, and again it will loop, so it will find book.controller.ts, right? So what this will do, this regex pattern will definitely match, right? If this is the case, what I can do, console.log, okay, you can say loaded, okay, controller, and I can say full path, right? Let us see what is happening, at least in the console. Of course it will not load in the app, okay, but let us see in the console. And if you see, we are getting this error, right? Scanner is not a directory, okay. Why is that? Because is directory should be a function, okay. So now if we come here, okay, what it is saying, loaded controller, okay, and it is giving the path and src book.controller.ts, right? So I'm able to get the list of all controllers, or at least if I traverse my project, I can get the list of all files that are a valid controller, right? So now what I will do, I will say require, okay, require full path. I'll just import it or just load it, right? Perfect. Now I'll come here, okay. If you see, this is also commented out, this is also commented out, everything is commented out, right? And let me for now just comment out this one, okay. And if I show you, see, this is still failing, right? As soon as I acquire my controller, what will happen? See, it will start working, okay. Now why is that so? Why a require statement or an injection statement is needed? That is because the decorators that we have added here, okay, they run only when the file is loaded in the index.ts, okay. These controllers, okay, the TypeScript compiler will not go and check each and every decorator, and it will load it, right? Or it will run the function, right? For the TypeScript to see the decorator and execute its function, it needs the file to be loaded once in the index.ts or in the memory, right? So when we don't add this injection statement or this import statement, TypeScript compiler does not even check this book controller, okay. And that means none of this decorator ever gets executed, okay. And none of these methods are available. Okay, so get metadata of base path, this particular controller doesn't exist, right? So that's why we had to do a manual load of all our controllers, right, in this app.ts, right? Once this is done, these decorators will be executed, right? And once this executed, it will have all the base path and everything available, and then this app instance will have all the route. Okay, and this will start working, right? So that is the whole idea. Okay, now if you come to book controller, and if you see, now do we need this initialize routes? No, right? And do we also need this constructor? No, right? And do we also need this router? No, right? Because everything is being taken care by this decorator, right? Now if I save this one, okay, and if I see the console, see everything is working, and this controller is also loaded. Right now if I come and send a request, it will work, right? It will work, obviously, right? So now if you see, our code is extremely clean, right? So all we have to do when we have to add a route controller is just decorate this with add controller and this methods, right? So now we are going towards making a framework. We are slowly going there. Okay, so this is it for this video. Okay, if you like this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.